2, 1. Doug Kide here with this week's Patriots video mailbag. Tweet me your questions at Doug Kide using the hashtag MailDoug. First up, Ashley says, "Hi Doug, great job on the draft coverage." Thank you very much, Ashley. Which rookie do you see making the biggest impact this year? There's two possibilities here for me. First of all, the obvious one maybe, quarterback Mac Jones. But for Mac Jones to make that big impact in 2021, he would either have to beat out Cam Newton for the starting job in the training camp and preseason, or beat out Cam Newton for that starting position at some point during the 2021 season and pass him on the depth chart. I don't think that's a sure thing. So let's move on to the second possibility, and that would be defensive tackle Christian Barmore, the Patriots' second-round pick. New England traded up in the second round to get him. He had first-round grades by most of those online draft analysts, fell in the draft. Patriots picked him up in the second round, but he's probably got the most potential out of any defensive tackle on the Patriots roster, especially as a pass rusher. So I think that it would probably be smart for him to have some sort of role from day one, either as an early down run stuffer, he's good at that as well, or on third down as that pass rush specialist. That's probably the role I would prefer to see him in, just because I think that he's significantly better than the other defensive tackles on the Patriots roster: Lawrence Guy, Devon Godchaux, Henry Anderson, Byron Cowart, the list kind of goes on. At rushing the quarterback. So I think that Christian Barmore could take on a bigger role as the season goes along, but I do think that he will have some sort of role early in the season. I don't know at this point where Mac Jones stands, so I would say Christian Barmore is the safer answer. Second question here, Riley asks, assuming Damian Harris and James White are locks, and Sony Michel and Ramondre Stevenson are both close to sure things, do you think Bill Belichick keeps either Brandon Bolden or JJ Taylor? In my first 53-man roster projection of the spring, I had Brandon Bolden off of the 53-man roster, but I was kind of gaming the system, cheating a little bit, saying, yeah, Brandon Bolden's a possibility to be cut and then bring back when the Patriots put someone else on injured reserve. So if I had to choose, I actually think that Sony Michel could be left off the roster. I think that Brandon Bolden or JJ Taylor could. I even think, who knows, maybe Ramondre Stevenson could as well. He was a fourth-round pick. If he has a really disastrous spring and summer, it's not like the Patriots invested a first, second, or third-round pick in Ramondre Stevenson. So I think that all of those guys are on the board there. It's going to be extremely tough to make this Patriots roster. If you kind of go through all the obvious cuts on there, you can really only come up with 15 or 20 of them. So those guys will definitely be battling for roster spots. I think the Patriots somehow wind up keeping all 6 of those guys one way or the other. But if I had to pick one, I guess since I already did it in my 53-man roster projection, I would leave off Brandon Bolden. Final question here quickly. Philco asks, we're all hoping to see the Pats draft a slot receiver in the early rounds, but similar to what happened with Julian Edelman, do you believe that we already have one on the roster? And Gunnar Olszewski, do you believe that he has the skill set to develop into a true slot receiver? I can obviously understand why there are comparisons between Edelman and Olszewski. They both switch positions. Edelman was a late round pick. Olszewski was an undrafted guy. I don't think it's a perfect comparison though, because if you remember, Julian Edelman actually had 400 yards receiving in his rookie season. Gunnar Olszewski doesn't even have 100 through 2 seasons. So I'm going to actually flip this question and say, yes, the Patriots have a slot receiver on their roster, but it's Jakobi Meyers. Jakobi Meyers had over 700 yards last season. He was far and away the Patriots' best receiver on their roster last year, and I think that he has really high potential as a slot receiver in the Patriots system. I know that he's not shaped like the normal Patriots slot receiver, the Troy Brown, the Wes Welker, Danny Amendola, Julian Edelman, but he can do similar things. He usually uses his smarts to get open. He really understands the offense, really understands the game. So that would be my guy to be the Patriots' future at the slot position.
PNC Bank, helping to make banking easier.